So, welcome to Bhakti Steps. We will continue with Bhagavad Gita 13th chapter. Yesterday we just started it, and there are prayers on my screen. Please repeat with me. Om Ajnana Thimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuranmilitam Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Mano Bhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Swapanantikam Vandeham Shri Guroho Shri Uttapadakamalaṁ Shri Gurun Vaishnavaംశ Shri Rupam Sagaradatam Sahagana Raghunatham Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Dutamsha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deen Bandhu Jagatpate Bhupesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namaste Tapta Kamchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sudhevi Pranami Haripriye Vancha Kalturvesha Kripa Sindhu Bhaiva Japtithanam Bhavanibhyo Vaishnavyo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So welcome everyone. Yesterday we discussed on Kshetra. What does Kshetra mean? What did Krishna say? Kshetra is?
It's the body.
Yeah, it's the body. And we discussed that we need to understand our Kshetra also. Why we need to understand our body? Why we need to understand? Why we need to understand this Kshetra that we have given? It is not just the body, it is even this particular land, the place, wherever we are in. Everything is a Kshetra. Why we have to understand? Even a washing machine is a Kshetra. Even a dishwasher or a fridge is a Kshetra. Why we need to understand all these things? Can anyone tell? Any thoughts? When you must have taken admission in higher education, did you just blindly take admission in any college, any university, any stream? Yes? Did you blindly do that? Can anyone tell? If you want to buy a new car, do you just blindly go and buy it from any shop, any mall?
We study all the possibilities,
Why?
Prabhuji,
Why? Why we have to study?
so that we can get the best, the most
Yes.
optimal.
Every kshetra has its potential, its influence. Our body has a potential, our body has an influence. Everything has a kshetra. Everything is a kshetra. Whatever we touch, use, everything is a kshetra. So we need to understand its influence and we need to understand its potential. If we understand it, then we can use it to the best. Otherwise we may underuse it or overuse it and may do a bad usage of it, right? So for that reason we need to know our kshetra. Now another question. We got this body. The atma gets body. This is man's body, this is woman's body. Where do you think a woman, we have women in our meeting here, where do you think woman will be fully satisfied? That's a body that is driving her. What is that point? There are certain milestones in a woman's life where she feels completely satisfied, where her potential is fully used, where her influence is fully used. Can you tell me? Mataji is in this meeting. When do you think that will happen? Same question goes to Prabhuji's in this meeting. When do you think your potential, your influence will be maximum used? Any thoughts? No
Prabhuji,
thoughts?
may I?
No. I'm asking, if a soul gets this kshetra, this man's body or a woman's body, which point in life you feel that, that I have used the best potential of my body?
When we see some tangible results, Prabhuji,
Okay, that is one point. I specifically shown the marriage photo. You need to take a cue from this.
when we are able to carry out our duties and responsibilities to the
Okay.
best of our ability,
Yes. What is the wife expecting after marriage?
it's a very long list, Prabhuji.
No, what is the major best list, the topmost?
Uh,
To fulfill all the desires.
What is the topmost desire? Don't be shy. You need to tell, because that's the kshetra. That body is pushing. That body is having that influence. That body is having the potential. What is the topmost desire? I'm also married. I know, but I want to hear it from you.
Prabhuji, to be respected.
Okay, that is personal feelings, but there's no. I'm just saying the body. That body is given to you, and it's going to push you, because that's a kshetra in it, right? It has a potential, and the woman is thinking about something. Something should happen. What is that thing that she's thinking?
Maybe to have a child.
Yes. And the moment you have a child, the woman feels completely satisfied. Yes or no? How many of you have children here? No one?
I have two daughters, Prabhuji.
Yeah. So the moment you saw your daughters as babies, the feeling of the mother is like completely fully satisfied, right or no? Yes or no?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah. Why that
Yes,
happens?
Prabhuji.
Because that's the kshetra that you have got. This particular body has the capacity, the potential, the influence to have a child. And it is pushing, 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 pushing. And one day when it happens, then that satisfaction comes. And the man feels happy when he's able to provide, when he's able to have a family, when he's able to provide, you know, then he feels that potential in him is fully utilized. So, this is just one aspect of Kshetra, I'm saying. Okay. From spiritual point of view, this Kshetra has to be used in service of Krishna. That is the understanding. Okay. From, if we don't have spiritual understanding, even with that, we are still using this Kshetra. Everyone is getting married, they're having children, people are doing business, job, whatever. Okay. Where the disconnect is? The disconnect is that this Kshetra need to be used in the service of Krishna. So this chapter is giving this understanding to us. Does that help?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah. We spent a lot of time on Kshetra, uh, and the whole other chapter is on Kshetragnya. And there are two types of Kshetra. Okay, so we'll get into the details. Text number 5. The knowledge of the field of the activities and the knower of the activities is described by various sages in the various Vedic writings. See, so much of Vedic writing is done to understand how what kind of activities you can do in this kshetra. If this within the body, so many activities you can do, right? If it is outside the body, the kshetra, like we talked about the land, what all you can do? Medical field, what all you can do? Engineering field, what all you can do? So it's like that. So many sages have talked about it. That's why we have such a thing. And it's especially presented in Vedanta Sutra with all reasoning as to cause and effect. So Vedanta Sutra, the Veda Anta, the end of the Vedas, they connect the Kshetra and Kshetragnya. to the supreme Kshetrajna. That is what this Vedanta Sutra is doing. That is the end of it. Okay, so we have a long purport to read. Can anyone volunteer to read this section? Anyone?
I could read, Prabhuji.
Go ahead.
Hare Krishna. The Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna is the highest authority in explaining this knowledge. Still, as a matter of course, learned scholars and standard authorities always give evidence from previous authorities. Krishna is explaining this most controversial point regarding the duality and non duality of the soul and the supersoul by referring to a scripture, the Vedanta, which is accepted as authority. First, he says, this is according to different sages. As far as the sages are concerned, besides himself, Vyasadeva, the author of the Vedanta Sutra, is a great sage, and in the Vedanta Sutra, duality is perfectly explained. And Vyasadeva's father, Parashara, is also a great sage, and he writes in his books of religiosity, Aham Tvam Cha Tathanye. We, you, I, and the various other living entities, all are transcendental, although in material bodies. Now we are fallen into the ways of the three modes of material nature according to our different karma. As such, some are on higher levels and some are in the lower nature. The higher and lower natures exist due to ignorance and are being manifested in an infinite number of living entities. But the super soul, which is infallible, is uncontaminated by the three qualities of nature and is transcendental. Similarly, in the original Vedas, a distinction between the soul, the super soul, and the body is made, especially in Katha Upanishad. There are many such sages who have explained this, and Parashara is considered principal among them.
Okay.
The
Read from here, as stated before.
As stated before, kshetra is the field of activities, and there are two kinds of kshetrajna, the individual living entity and the supreme living entity. As stated in the Taittiriya Upanishad 2.5, Brahma Pucham Pratishtha. There is a manifestation of the Supreme Lord's energy known as Annamaya, dependence upon food for existence. Uh, this is a materialistic realization of the Supreme. Then, in Pranamaya, after realizing the Supreme Absolute Truth in food, one can realize the Absolute Truth in the living symptoms or life forms. The Jnanamaya realization extends beyond the living symptoms to the point of thinking, feeling, and willing. Then there is Brahman realization called Vijnanamaya, Maya, in which the living entity's mind and life symptoms are distinguished from the living entity himself. The next and supreme stage is Anandamaya, realization of the all blissful nature. Thus, there are five stages of Brahman realization which are called Brahmapucham. Out of these, the first three, Annamaya, Pranamaya, and Jnanamaya, involve the fields of activities of the living creatures. Transcendental to all these fields of Transcendental to all these fields of activities is the Supreme Lord, who is called Anandamaya. The Vedanta Sutra also describes the Supreme by saying Anandamayo Bhyasat. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is by nature full of joy. To enjoy his transcendental bliss, he expands into Vijnanamaya, Pranamaya, Jnanamaya, and Annamaya. In the field of activities of living entity, uh, in the field of activities, the living entity is considered to be the enjoyer, and different from him is the Anandamaya. That means that if the living entity decides to enjoy in dovetailing himself with the Anandamaya, then he becomes perfect.
So I was telling you this thing, that the Kshetra and the Kshetrajna, that is the individual soul and this body that one has got, even the outside material nature, those Kshetras also Everything needs to be connected with the Supreme Lord. Then he becomes perfect. So few things they have been said here, which we'll focus on. First is this Brahm, this what is this called? 5 stages of Brahma Pucham. Anandamaya, Pranamaya, Jnanamaya, Vijnanamaya, Annamaya. Sorry, this is Annamaya, Pranamaya, Jnanamaya, Vijnanamaya, and Anandamaya. So, when a baby is born, it has its kshetra, and the only thing that the baby is looking is for, what is the baby looking for? The first thing, how the baby stops crying? All mother and father know this. How the baby stops crying? Tell me.
Baby cries for milk, Prabhuji.
Yeah. So that is the Annamaya. Only thing the baby understands at that point is where is the food. Slowly, when it grows, then it starts understanding Pranamaya. It understands other living entities. This is my father, this is my mother, that is grandfather, that is brother, sister, etc. So now it understands a little bit of prana in everyone. Then the child grows and then he wants to do things. So there are 3 steps in it: thinking, feeling, and willing. First he thinks, I need to do this. Then he feels about it very strongly. So if you stop a child from doing anything, they burst out in tears and they do tantrums, right? Because these 2 things are happening very strongly in them. They're thinking about it, they're feeling about it, and the willing becomes natural to them. They just want to do it, right? So how do you stop a child from, let's say, doing certain thing? Let's say you go to a mall and you know that your child will run to the ice cream shop. Your child is just a toddler. What will you do to
Try
stop
to
your child?
distract the child to
What?
try to distract the child, Prabhuji,
Yeah,
to turn his attention or her
yeah.
attention
And
to something else.
if you walk next to that shop, what will you do? You will cover his eyes, and that much is enough, right? So now his thinking is stopped because there is no input for him to think. You see, the eyes are input to the mind, the intelligence, right or wrong? The eyes, they see certain things. They immediately tell the mind, I saw gulab jamun, I saw ice cream. The mind says, last time when we tasted it was good. So it immediately tells the intelligence. The intelligence then tells it to the soul, this is important, we need to get it. Then the soul drives this whole body. See, he has a, what is that called? Circle thing, driving thing. So it is driving. Let's walk towards the shop. Let's pull out. Then he uses his hand to pull out money and he gives it. He takes the gulab jamun, puts it in his mouth. All the senses, they tell him, wow, it's the same test. And then seeing that the soul doesn't taste, okay? Then the soul becomes, okay, now I got. It's like a video game. Have you seen children playing video game? If they win a race in the video game, have they really run the race? Have they really run a race? Yes?
They only experienced running
They
it.
are
They
connecting
haven't.
with it. In that game, they win and therefore they think, I won. But did he actually win? No. He may say, I have 60,000 points in it. Does he really have it in reality? No, it's only in the game. So this thinking, feeling, and willing, it depends on how we control our senses. So for a baby, for a toddler, it is very difficult. So we have to physically do things. But For a yogi, he dotails everything to Krishna. So he doesn't avoid these activities. He uses them in Krishna's service. So I'll just show you. All the senses are making and pulling him. But in Krishna's service, he uses all of them. He sees Krishna's form, pastimes, everything through his eyes. So he Krishnizes his eye. He smells flowers. He sings devotional songs. Sorry, he hears devotional songs. So he's hearing. His eating is only prasadam. And his senses are used in the service of Krishna. His material and spiritual activities both are directed to Krishna. Okay. So that's the Jnanamaya. So Vijnanamaya is what? Vijnanamaya means he understands I am not the body. I am not the body only. Okay. We are the body. Because we are in this body now, we are definitely the body. But that is not the only identity we have. We have the additional identity which is eternal. And that is the soul. When we get that kind of knowledge, that is Vijnana. And when we connect it to the Supreme Ananda, what is the name of the Supreme Ananda? The Supreme Bliss, the reservoir of all pleasure. What is the name? One who killed a person with 10 heads. What is the name?
Lord Rama.
Yeah. So Rama means reservoir of all pleasure. So anyway, it's just another name of Krishna also. Radha Raman. So Vijnanamaya means all this, when the living entity, Vijnanamaya means he understands that I am separate, I am the soul, and the soul is a part and parcel of Krishna, and he is the complete Anandamaya. I will connect back with him. When that happens in Bhakti Yoga, then there is Anandamaya stage. Okay? Any questions on this? So when we study Kshetra, Kshetrajna and all that, all this we know. So in our growth also, as children grow, we should know what stage they are in. We should not just leave them at Jnanamaya. We should bring them at Vijnanamaya and give them an environment for Anandamaya. In this way, we will make our children materially and spiritually potential. Okay. Any questions?
No, Prabhuji.
Okay. It is mentioned here that the codes of Brahma Sutra are very nicely arranged according to the cause and effect. So Vedanta Sutra is connecting all this. Okay. Some of the Sutra aphorisms are these particular. The first aphorism indicates the field of activities. The second indicates the The first aphorism indicates the field of activity, the second indicates the living entity, and third indicates the Supreme Lord. That is this Parattu Tachurte, the summum bonum of all the manifestation of living various entities. So where all these connections are made, that is Vedanta Sutra. Vedanta Sutra makes these connections. Okay. The 5 great elements: false ego, intelligence, false ego, intelligence, the unmanifested, the 10 senses, the mind, the 5 senses on sense objects, desire, hatred, happiness, distress, the aggregate, the life symptoms and convictions. All these are considered to be the field of activities and interactions. So when you were answering, when you were telling about feelings and all that, right? That is nothing but the field of activities. Field of activities. So there is a field, then field of activities is field of activities. Okay. Field of just we will go 6 and 7, right? 6 and 7. I just want to see the technical name of field of activities. Etat kshetram samasena savikaram udharitam. Samasena kshetram. Okay, kshetram. The word kshetram is there's kshetra and kshetram. So kshetram is the field of activities. So whatever you were telling about feelings, this that it comes under kshetram, field of activities. Okay. Okay. Can you read from here? Anyone from all the authoritative statements?
Prabhuji, I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
So kshetra and kshetram are different?
Kshetra is the land and kshetram is the activity that you do on the land. It's the activity.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
I'm not expert in Sanskrit, but you can just check again. See, it's kshetram, kshetrajnam. So, see the word means two things. Okay, the word kshetram means the field and the activities of the field both. So, in context, we need to understand. So, the Sanskrit language has this that we need to understand certain words in their context. So etat kshetram samsena. So probably this etat means something. Etat. All this. So here it is not talking about the field, how the field is. It is actually talking about the activities. So therefore the kshetram here is not the field but the field of activities. So from that the context is understood. You understand? When indriya is mentioned, right? Indriya, senses. When senses are there, then activity is there, right? Whenever senses are mentioned, activity is always there. There cannot be a sense which doesn't do activity. The senses are doing activities throughout 24 hours. So therefore here the word kshetram is not the field but it is the field of activities. So it's connected. You understand? Okay. Okay, someone please volunteer to read from this section from all the authoritative statements.
I will read, Prabhuji.
Hmm.
The components of this world can be understood as follows. First, there are earth, water, fire, air, and ether. These are the five great elements, Mahabhuta. Then there are false ego, intelligence, and the unmanifested stage of the three moods of nature. Then there are five senses of acquiring knowledge, the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and skin. Then five working senses, voice, legs, hands, anus, and genitals. Then above the senses, there is the mind, which is within and which can be called the sense within. Therefore, including the mind, there are 11 senses altogether. Then there are the five objects of the senses smell, taste, form, touch, and sound. Now, the aggregate of these 24 elements is called the field of activity. If one makes an analytical study of these 24 subjects, then he can very well understand the field of activity. Then there are desire, hatred, happiness, and distress, which are interactions, representations of the five great elements in the gross body. The living symptoms represented by consciousness and convictions are the manifestation of the subtle body, mind, ego, and intelligence. These subtle elements are included within the field of activities. The
Go ahead.
five great elements are a gross representation of the false ego, which in turn represents the primal stage of false ego, technically called the materialistic conception or tamasa buddhi. Intelligence in ignorance. This further represents the unmanifested stage of the three modes of material nature. The unmanifested modes of material nature are called pradhana. One who desires to know the 24 elements in detail, along with their interactions, should study the philosophy in more detail. In Bhagavad Gita, a summary only is given. The body is the representation of all these factors, and there are changes of the body, which are six in number. The body is born, it grows, it stays, it produces by products, then it begins to decay, and at the last stage it vanishes. Therefore, the field is a non permanent material thing. However, the Kshetrajna, the knower of the field, its proprietary is different.
Okay. So, a lot of information is given. There are senses, there are information gathering senses, there are working senses. Okay. Information gathering are eyes, ear, nose. They are always taking information in, right? Then there are working senses. Voice, leg, hand, anus, genitals, these work. These are also senses. There are five objects of the senses. So these senses, they work on what? Nose works on smell, tongue works on taste, eyes work on form, touch and sound. Right? That. So like this, there are 24 elements in this field we can do. In this body we can do this combination of all these 24 elements. Right? So when we study this, again, why we need to study this? Why we need to study this, all these 24 objects? Okay, they give rise to what? Desire, hatred, happiness, distress. Isn't it? They give rise to ego, mind, intelligence. So, why we need to study all this? A medical
To
student,
utilize them, to
tell
utilize
me.
them in devotional service.
Yes, that is right answer. Somebody who is not in devotional service, how will you answer this question? A doctor will also answer this question. Why we need to study our body? A nutritionist will tell. Now tell me from their perspective, what is the answer? Why we need to study this body?
So that we can control our senses.
No, doctors never say no, the control our senses. What do they say? And we are talking from a doctor's perspective.
So that they can utilize all these senses for doing whatever profession they are in, like a doctor will
Yeah,
need
basically to
these.
be healthy.
Hmm.
Basically to be healthy, they study all these things, isn't it? All these senses they study, internal body parts, everything they study. They understand what is how things are working inside, right? If somebody comes, this is not working, they just know, okay, that means these two three things are not working properly. Either we can give injection or we can give medicine or be surgery and then tear it apart and tie it back again so that this person can be healthy again, isn't it?
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay, but what happens to this body? It is born, it grows, it stays, it produces byproducts, then it decays, then at last it vanishes. It is non-permanent material thing. So it is something like, it is something like, let's say somebody gives you a car and you have to use that car for 7 days. After 7 days, you have to return it back. So how will you use that car? You will use it. You will go places and all that. Okay, 7 days I have. What is one thing that you may not do to that car apart from paying to put petrol in it? That one thing you may say, not required. Anyone? Will you do maintenance? गाड़ी का oil change करना है. Will you do that?
No, but I'll also make sure that I don't,
Crash it or something. Okay.
yes, yes.
Let's say the indicator comes up and let's say, oil change. Oil change indicator there na, in the car. Now you know that 7 days you have to return back the car. Will you do this oil change? Tell me.
If it is going to help me to reach my destination, then I will.
Okay, but it is just 7 days. Let's say your destination is just 10 kilometers. What do you think people do? Let's not talk you will do. Let's say what people will do. People won't do anything, right? 7 दिन में देना है. What point in doing oil change and all that? Let the rent company only take care of it, right?
Yes, Prabhupada.
So we have
Yes.
got this body which is like a car and its age is just 100 years, and by today's standard 60, 70, 80 years. It's a non-permanent thing. It is going through all these changes. Should we do maintenance of this body? Of course we should do, otherwise we won't be able to use our body properly, right? So that's why this kshetra has to be learned. That's what the doctors will say. So from now, from a spiritual point of view, what the guru will say, you are doing all this maintenance, everything is all fine, but understand that after 80, 70, 80, 90, 100 years you have to give back. Therefore this is a non-permanent thing. So in your utilization, in your maintenance, in your everything, you need to connect it with the supreme kshetrajna. That is the super soul, or that is Krishna, Bhagavan. How do you connect? How do you connect your body, your kshetrajnam, and field of activities? How do you connect?
By engaging in devotional service,
Yes. What are the four things that are common between animals and human beings? Have you heard these things? In any of the Bhakti Viksha class, did you hear? Four things common between animal and human. Have you heard this? Yes or no? I can tell you. It's there in
yes,
Mahabharata.
Prabhuji.
Ahara nidra bhaya maithune vacha samana etat pashubi naranam dharmo hitesham adhiko visheshu dharmena hinas pashubi samana. So what is the first thing that is common? Tell me quickly.
They eat like us.
Eating. Okay. Eating. Then
Um, they reproduce like us.
mating. Okay. Next.
They defend like us.
Defend. Okay. Good. Next.
Eating, defending, and they also age like us.
Sleeping.
Sleep.
Yeah. So eating, sleeping, mating, defending, nidra. These are common between human beings and animals. And these are what? These are activities of the field, right? Isn't it? These are activities of the field. How do you connect this with Krishna? How do you connect this with Dharma? Dharma hitesham adhiko visheshu dharmena hina pashubi samana. So how do you connect this eating to Dharma? Eating to Paradharma? To Krishna?
To eat only prasadam.
Yes. How do you connect mating to Krishna?
To have progeny, only Krishna conscious progeny.
What is that whole process called? What is it called?
Garbhadam.
Garbhadan. Do you know what is Garbhadan? Garbhadan is where husband and wife, they decide that they need to have a child, and 1 year before the husband thinks of what kind of child he wants, okay, and then they do tapasya to have that child, to have those qualities that they want in the child. Okay, it's a tapasya process. Hmm? And then when the woman is fertile, when the kshetra is fertile for the seed to sow, that time they do certain Garbhadhan rituals. In Krishna consciousness, Prabhupada said before sexual intercourse, husband and wife should at least chant 64 rounds of Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Okay? Whether one day, whether multiple days, but chant. And then the sexual intercourse happens. Now, because the mind, the consciousness, the soul is all in good spiritual state, that particular karma will attract a soul with similar compatibility, similar understanding, similar influences, similar qualities. So a spiritual soul will be invited in the womb of the wife. After that, then there are samskaras to be done. Simantani Yagya, right? Those samskaras are to be done, the 7th month program and all that. Then once the baby takes birth, there is other names of samskara. First is the Nama Sanskara, Anna Sanskara, then the Kesha. Kesha is where the hair is removed. All that. This is how we connect everything to Krishna. And then as the child grows, we keep him or her physically, emotionally, spiritually nourished, and give them all facilities for their material advancement as well as spiritual advancement. That whole process is how we connect the mating field of activity with Krishna. Is that clear? Any questions? How do we connect defending with Krishna? That field of activity of defending with Krishna. We protect our family tradition, we protect the dharma that is there in our family traditions, we protect our own honesty, truthfulness, we bring sense, satya, sattva guna, all that defending that happens to protect our dharma is when we do it for dharma, then we connect it to Krishna. It's a very broad subject. I just made a summary of it. And how do we connect our sleeping with Krishna?
Prabhuji, is it correct to say to not sleep more than 6 hours or something like that?
No. You had 2 children, right? 2 girl childs, right?
Yes, Prabhuji.
How many hours they slept when they were babies?
Almost throughout the day.
So then how come 6 hours is recommended?
For adults, I was saying, Prabhuji, I was not talking about children.
So we should not use the exact word like 6 or something. It's like, what is needed. Okay, that is one point. What is needed at particular age, it needs differently. Okay, the needs are different.
Yes.
What is sufficient speed need? And then the most important one is sufficient sleep. Okay, let me put sufficient sleep. Actually, sufficient sleep is not even 6 hours. It is actually 7 to 8 hours. Okay, 6 hour is there, but then even adults who are working and all that, right, when they are on the field and all that, then they need some 1 2 hour extra. That's why. What is the another aspect of sleeping? Sufficient sleep is there. Next aspect is when to sleep. When to sleep? That is also part of how we connected to Krishna. When to sleep? Can you tell me when to sleep? What is the best time to sleep?
Early, maybe 9:30
Yeah,
the night.
yes, exactly. Maximum 10 o'clock, 10:30. I also fail in that. Uh, I also don't sleep by that time. But then, this is what the Shastras recommend. Why all this is there? Why sufficient sleep and when to sleep and all these injunctions are there? Because our body is material body and this material world is there. There needs to be compatibility between the material world and the material body. Then, then our machine, that is human body, will work nicely. Okay. So that particular time period of sleep from 9, 10 o'clock, 10:30, you see the animals, they always sleep by that time. Especially the birds. Some nocturnal animals like dogs and all that, they may sleep and they may get up again. But then if you see the birds, they will sleep by 8:30, they are gone. No noise only. And when they'll get up, morning 5 o'clock they'll get up. 5 o'clock, 5:30, 6 o'clock, they're up there running around. Where is the food? Where is the food? Where is the food? So they follow dharma. So that is dharma. Dharma means where our compatibility is right in respect to the material laws, the material nature, and everything. For a devotee, he will follow sufficient sleep and he will follow when to sleep for what utilization. What is the ultimate goal for him? Why he is doing all this? An athlete or even these actors, actresses, they also follow very rigid schedule. After 6 p.m. they will not eat only and all that, they'll sleep forcibly for 8 hours and all that. Do you know why they do that? Actors, actresses, and athletes, can you tell me why they do all that? It's a very simple answer. Can you tell me quickly?
So that they can optimally use the rest of the waking hours, Prabhuji.
Yes. So body is recovered, everything, the whole energy is there. They can fully utilize the potential to influence of the body. Now, why does devotee does that? So that he can use it for spiritual purpose. He will connect all his re-energized body in the service of Krishna. Getting? Getting? For his material duty and spiritual duty, both he will do all this. So this is how one will connect eating, sleeping, mating, defending with the Supreme Lord. Does it make sense? Any questions on this? These are also fields of activities. Okay. Actually, if we follow these four things very nicely now, then these particular activities, these particular things that were said, right? Desires, hatred, happiness, distress, these, and even the convictions, the life symptoms aggregate, all these also are very dharmically aligned just by following these four things dharmically. By ahara shuddha. Okay, there's a very nice verse, ahara shuddha. Okay, we will quickly Google search it. It is very commonly sattva shuddha. Ahara shuddha, sattva shuddha. This is a verse that Prabhupada also quoted. Okay, let's pick it up from here. It's there in Chandogya Upanishad. Ahara shuddha, sattva shuddha, dhruva smriti, smriti labda, sarva grantira vipramoksha. From purity of food comes purity of mind. From purity of mind comes constant memory. From constant remembrance, one becomes free from all nuts, one becomes liberated. Very interesting verse, right? So this is the thing. Just by eating, we can become liberated if we connect it to Krishna. Similarly, mating also, defending also, sleeping also. And then all other activities. Then all these things that we have, right? Desire, hatred, they are also under control. They won't drive us crazy. Okay? Any questions? Any questions?
No, Prabhuji.
Okay. So the next verse is a very amazing long verse with purport. We may not go fully in detail. We will learn it through a table. So now Krishna is going to define what is exactly knowledge. Okay, what is the 20 items of knowledge? What is exactly knowledge? You won't be able to complete all of it, but some things will start. So he gives a list of things that he considers together as all is knowledge. Humility, pridelessness, non-violence, tolerance, simplicity, approaching a bona fide spiritual master, cleanliness, steadiness, self-control, renunciation of objects of sense gratification, absence of false ego, perception of evil of birth, death, old age and disease, detachment, freedom from entanglement with children, wife, home and rest, and the rest. Even mindedness amid pleasant unpleasant activity events, constant unalloyed devotion to me, aspiring to live in a solitary place, detachment from general mass of people, accepting the importance of self-realization and philosophical search for the absolute truth. All this I declare. Krishna declares to this to be knowledge. All this is knowledge. Okay, there is no physics, chemistry, mathematics involved in this. This he declares as knowledge. And besides this, whatever it is ignorance. So, physics, chemistry, mathematics, business, finance, everything is it knowledge or ignorance? Tell me. Java, C++, anatomy, pharmacy, all this is knowledge or all that is ignorance?
Based on the specifics.
Ignorance, Prabhuji.
Ignorance. Okay, good. So we'll just look at the verse. Where it is. So 4 verses. And the word that he used for ignorance is agyanam. Okay, so there is jnanam and there is another word is agyanam. There is jnanam, there is agyanam. And we discussed what is jnanam. Everything about this is jnanam. And where does physics, chemistry, mathematics, pharmacy, etc., whatever we do in our day life, everything that stands in agyanam, ignorance. Now, before we get into this, first question: if this is knowledge and the other things are a knowledge or ignorance, should we ever enter into ignorance? What is your thought? Should we learn ignorance or not?
For material aspect, we have to do this again, I mean ignorance. Otherwise, we have to also survive in this world. So that's why it's also important.
Okay, good. Now, where is the Shastra Brahman which says that we have to do this also? Anything a devotee says should be there with a Shastra Brahman. Shastra is saying, so I am following. Where is your Shastra? Maybe it's just logical or something you are telling. Where is your Shastra? Which Shastra tells this? That we have to study Agyan. So in Isha Upanishad, there is a very nice verse which talks about this. Mantra 11. Vidya, Vidyamsa, Vidyamsa, Avidyamsa. Say yes. Tat Vedo Bhayam Saha Avidyaya Mrityam Tritva Vidyaya Amritam Ashnute. One who can learn the process of nations is ignorance, and that of transcendental knowledge side by side, can transcend the influence of repeated birth and death and enjoy the full blessings of immortality. So this is the Shastra in Isha Upanishad. It is telling that we have to learn what? Ignorance and knowledge side by side. Saha. Saha. This is a Hindi word, right? Saha. Saath mein. Side by side. Both. So this is the Pramana. Why we need to learn the process of nations? Like you said, we have to live in this world. Okay, we may get diseased also, so that's why also we need. And why we need to learn transcendental knowledge then?
To realize our constitutional position with the Lord Prabhuji, it is required.
Okay, anything more?
Prabhuji, can we say that because we have got this rare human form, we need to we need to engage in devotional service? Could that be an answer?
Okay, yes, that is one thing. What is the next destination? That also we need to think, right? So the transcendental knowledge helps in getting the next destination. That's why we need to learn. Process of nations helps in getting the next destination within a life, right? For promotion, for job, for so within a life we are getting promoted. After that, how will that happen? Not through our material activities, but through our spiritual activities. So that's why we need to learn the transcendental knowledge, how we can side by side do material duty and spiritual duty, such that we don't enter into repeated birth and death, and we enjoy full blessings of immortality, as moksha. Okay. Okay, so we will study this next time only. Let's open up for some questions. If you have any questions or comments, any questions, comments?
Nothing from my end, Prabhuji. No
Okay.
questions.
Okay, so if you don't have any questions, comments, we will meet next